DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
It's time for Tuesday Night Live Chat with Brian S. Red and John Young. Going live. That's right. We are going live, which sometimes can be really, really difficult because, we have to shovel the snow. We have to thaw the ice. We have to make sure my dog gets in after she went out and went potty, and then we can go live.
And then we have to recover from being on the road at places like Mobile DJ Meetup.
That was kind of a planes, trains, and automobiles type of moment with us last week.
Yeah, it was.
For those of you who do not know, we talked about a little bit with Ben before, but Ben, Brian, and I, plus a plethora of friends and family, were in Allentown with the Mobile DJ Meetup last week.
Yes.
Don, Donnie, and Owen put together a great sandwich spread for lunch both days.
And then some.
And then some. Oh, it was for those of you who were there with us. Dave was there. Howie
Dave Clevenger was there.
Yeah, we had a great time. It was a wonderful experience. It's a great chance to see some friendly faces and such. And we learned some things too. Whether it was learning some things, just having a chat in the hallway over dinner, getting to sit and talk with Nick Hahn over dinner. Well, actually, it would have been much better if Britt was there. But, we still learned something. Britt, we learned a lot more. Actually, most of the things we learned about in dinner were lessons that Britt had taught Nick, and then he could share them with us.
Well, what I really liked about the show was I feel like that nobody expected what they saw. It was the definition of under-promise, over-deliver.
It was.
So no one was disappointed that I talked to. Everybody was very enthusiastic, and there were a lot of new faces.
There were.
That was so unique. I mean, you go to these shows sometimes, it's the same usual suspects over and over again. But this show, there was some new energy there. There was some new interest and enthusiasm that I found so refreshing.
Yeah, it was definitely a great event. I enjoy the small regional events because they are so intimate and we can talk and hang out and such. But even with the small regional events, there's sometimes that they have now evolved into almost feeling like a larger event from the standpoint that people get fragmented. And really, during the day, we were all together. We seminars together, we had lunch together, we're sitting in the hallways, talking shop together, and then a lot of us went over to the lounge and had supper together and had a couple of beverages, and then went to the room and passed out because it was a long day.
I didn't leave the property since I got there on Saturday or Sunday evening, and I didn't leave until late night on Tuesday.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, now that you mention it, that was the same thing. Yeah, we didn't leave until the luggage came in, the luggage came out, and that was the show. And I like that because that way we can experience the camaraderie that you're there for. I'm not there. As much as it's cool to go to Vegas and see the Blue Man Group or see this or that, I'm really there to learn from other DJs, to connect with other DJs. And it gets to that point at 8 o'clock at night, and it's like, where's Jay Brandon? I could use some education. I could use some motivation. And then I look out my window and downstairs there, and there's Jay Brandon. He's down there with
not there, unfortunately.
He's down there with
he should have been. Jay would have ate this up.
Oh,
he
would have.
Jay Brandon written all over it.
This is the type of thing, because this was a situation where they were talking a lot, and we all know how much Jay Brandon loves to sit back and listen. So he would have been able to get.
I call it hold. He could have been able to hold court because that's kind of what he does.
Yeah, there would have been court to be held. Let's put it that way.
And this was the perfect fit for Jay, but it was so nice to see all the fresh faces, and a lot of the ideas that I heard were not particularly new ideas, but I heard them presented in new ways, and the enthusiasm that people had about them, and kind of how you could just see that everybody was kind of agreeing, yeah, this is the way to go. So it's almost like reassurance that you're thinking right. It was nice. And boy, I don't know. The keynote really sucked, but otherwise it was a good show.
Yeah. The keynote, that guy was just, I don't know where they found him.
Loser.
Yeah, he was. For those of you who don't know, Brian did the keynote on Tuesday afternoon, and it was a fun time for those of us who have heard Brian talk like once or twice before in all the time. He's a shy person. He really doesn't like to share his thoughts or opinions too often, and it was really nice for him to kind of come out of his shell on stage, and really get into some different topics in the DJ industry, because he never really does share his opinions. So it was nice to see.
The title of my seminar was "What Do Mobile DJs Do?" And I'm looking at my notes over here, and in the little parentheses I had the wedding edition, but I riffed a lot of that. Some of the stuff that I had, well, everything I had written down I covered, but I think the first 15 minutes I didn't even plan to do. I just did it, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it was pretty well received.
I think so. I definitely think so. There was only a little bit of snoring, and after I woke Howie up, we were good.
You'll have that, but no, it was cool to just kind of relax and interact with everyone and ask them questions and present them, with some philosophy of mine. And I think I said, and I hope I said, the things I'm going to be talking about today, these are just my thoughts and opinions. This is not gospel.
I do believe you did put a disclaimer up. There was
because I don't want anybody to think I'm up there saying, you should do it like this. I'm just simply sharing some ideas, and others were able to share ideas as well, and we were able to talk about them. It was fun. Yeah, we talked about music. We talked about playing music for people in different ways that we can play to our audience, which is what I like to say now. I don't like to say read the crowd. I hate that. That just sounds like industry jargon, I guess, or just an industry word that one professional would say to the next. It doesn't sound like something you would say to a potential client. So I like that playing to the audience. It seems to be more descriptive.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Yeah, because the jargon thing of the, I got a speaker that has 2,000 gigawatts of power. It doesn't really matter to them.
We also covered all kinds of stuff. We talked about music. We talked about one-up the requests. And one thing that I was able to cover in the keynote that I was really happy I was able to do in the keynote, and I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but how we have a lot of parallels with people who do stand-up comedy, mm-hmm. and how we can learn from stand-up comedians about their craft and about our craft. And we can, and I've said this so many times. I've said it on the show, I've said it in videos, and I think people dismiss me. I was like, yeah, whatever. But I was really able to kind of hit that home and give I felt like some good examples, and hopefully I made some people think. So I was happy about that. And then the end, I mean, geez, I was able to, we just did freeform. People were going to the mic and just asking questions, and we were riffing, and it was fun. Yeah.
Oh, that one question, that was an incredible question that was put out there during the end of my seminar. I don't know.
Yes, that was a really good question.
There was a question, because again, when we were done, the microphones, they had that open, and now it's kind of a neat touch because you can get a couple of questions. And a gentleman came up in the crowd, and he's like, "Hey, I heard there's this awesome show on Tuesday nights on DJNTV. What a great opening to be able to talk about the high quality programming at 9 p.m. Eastern on DJNTV." Actually,
what I said was, and I remember exactly what I said. I said, so I heard you had this kick-ass show on Tuesday nights. Would you care to share some information about that? And then John proceeds to tell me about him with Ben Stowe on Thursday nights, which was brilliant. It was very funny.
It was funny.
Because everybody was in on it. As soon as they weren't really paying attention who was on the mic, but as soon as they heard my voice, they're like, "Oh, it's Brian."
We know where this is going.
Okay, and then everybody started laughing, and then the laughter died down, and then John proceeded to talk about him and Ben. So that was pretty good.
We had fun.
And then Ben almost inducted me into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with his intro he did, which was really cool.
Yeah.
If you're going to get inducted into some kind of Hall of Fame, you might as well have Ben be the guy who does it. And that was really it was an honor really that he did that. I don't think I thanked him enough for saying the kind things he said, but
It was just it was a really fun event, and part of the enjoyment was being around close friends like Brian and Ben and Howie and Dave and a lot of the others who were able to make it. It's cool to be able to spend time with this extended family like that, and you treasure those moments, and because they are fleeting, they're not there forever, and I'm looking forward to the next opportunity, which will be in February, and then other opportunities we will have as we go forward, because again, we know that those opportunities and those situations where we're all there to enjoy that moment may never line up like that again. And I don't want to.
The new friends were fun too, because I did make some new friends.
Oh yeah, for sure. There was a couple of people that I got to meet that you guys are going to get to see more of as we go forward here with DJNTV. And yeah, it was just a good experience all the way around. So
I went up and I did my keynote and all that. And my keynote was the last day. And when I go up like at 2:00, something like that. And I think I went till 3.
Yeah, yep, something like that. Mm-hmm.
Oh, right before 3 or whatever. What was interesting was afterwards, there were so many people who came up to me and said, "Well, who are you? And do you have a card? Can I do you like blog or something? Where do I go to see your stuff?" It was cool. It was new people. It wasn't just preaching to the choir. I really enjoyed that. 4 or 5 different groups of people came up and talked to me afterwards, wondering, who are you? That was really kind of cool. Who are you? I want to know more about what you do. So it was fun. It was really cool in that regard.
So they didn't get any of my Huey Lewis jokes at all.
Well, they didn't know, but a lot of people did. Yeah, and we played on Huey Lewis pretty hard.
Yeah, we had some fun with that. So
we played on Huey. I think Heart and Soul even got a little stab during my keynote.
Yeah, I think
the DJ played part of Heart and Soul, and I
was.
admit it openly. It's a jam. It just is what it is. I can't help it. The tune is a jam.
Oh. Good stuff. So let's jump into tonight's topic. What I wanted to talk about, this is actually something I believe you had in your seminar where you were talking about a signature song. And I was kind of thinking more about that I think there's signature songs are an evolution is what my thesis for tonight's show is. But let's jump back into signature song. Kind of explain that a little bit for people who might be a little foggy on what you meant by that.
I was talking about those songs that maybe you as a DJ play that maybe not all DJs play. It's the song that you feel like works well, but it's not one of those. It's not Love Shack. You know what I mean? It's something different and unique. Those are signature tracks for me. I mean, I've got a couple. It's not like nobody ever plays these songs, but my big one that I mentioned in the keynote was "Be Faithful," Fat Man Scoop and Crooklyn Clan. Of course, the edited version, but I work that in when I can. If things are going well, I'll put that on. But you all have them. I mean, I know Jay does Daft Punk's "One More Time." It's not that no one plays it, but I know he tries to work it, and I do too. But I have better success with "Be Faithful." But yeah, it's just those tunes that are yours. I mean, it's kind of putting your signature on the event because you played that song or those songs. Perhaps there are more than just one, and I have several that I like to work in where I can that not everyone plays. Oh, Lola Steam, of course. I don't think I've ever played Lola Steam at a gig, but I know Jay tries to work it in.
I don't think I've ever played that. But yeah, as I was going through and I was thinking that, what was the signature song that when people heard that over the years who have followed my shows would say, "Oh yeah, that's John playing." They could hear that song and they would think that because I was the only one who played that song or that was I played it so frequently. So I went through and I came up with 7 songs that have been signature songs over the years. And we've talked about most of these at some point in time in our music shows. And if you guys haven't had a chance to listen to our music shows, go out to DJNTV.com and you can type in 50s music or whatever, or 50s, 60s, and you'll find shows that Brian and I did where we basically just went through and shared. Yeah. And for some
music shows.
Yeah, for some folks who've never really studied into those, we went through and we did some really in-depth things. And for folks who are used to play a lot of that type of music, they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's songs I haven't thought of in a long time that they added to their list." So good stuff there.
It's great. I'm sorry, John. In the chat room, they're already throwing out their signature tracks, which is really cool. Howie has mentioned Heroes by David Bowie, and one that I've never played, but Howie does really well with it. And I think he did it for like an EMT group. is Help Is On the Way by Little River Band.
Oh, that's one I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, that's a really cool signature track. I mean, people know it, I mean, of a certain age, but when's the last time they heard it? So that's a cool one to play. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
those
exactly.
unique songs that are kind of yours. You brought them back and play them.
Yeah, and part of it might be in the setup, a situation like mix Pitbull into Sweet Dreams.
Signature mix.
Perhaps. Yeah, it's a mix that that one is always going to lead into the other one, and it's the oh yeah, I love the Pitbull tune, and then going into the Sweet Dreams is like, oh, I remember I remember this song when we were in high school. This was that kind of a thing. And it's like, oh yeah, we hear this when DJ Raz is playing. This is his mix, and yeah, this is awesome. So
what are your tracks?
So let's go back when we very first started. One of the first songs that we were able to find on CD that became kind of our track as we were playing around central Minnesota was Todd Rundgren's Bang on the Drum All Day.
Nice. Yeah, good song.
That was one that people it was very tough to find. It was on it was one of the first experiences of buying an import CD. And actually, probably the very, very first version, did we have it on tape? We might have had it on tape. And we played it a couple of times, and then either we played it in a couple and it ruined it, or we had it on tape and we never got it to the gig to play. One of the two, because that was one of our first one songs we wanted to have on CD, Bang on a Drum All Day. So that was probably for the first from 86 through about maybe early, probably to about 89. And then the radio station started using it on Fridays. It was the Working for the Weekend, and that was in that set. And it became, the radio station basically burned it up.
Yeah.
Nobody liked it anymore.
It's very popular here because it gets played. I'm not into sports, but one of our local sports teams, like, I don't know, if it's the Bucks or the Brewers or the Packers, somebody plays that one a lot.
All the time. Yeah. It's kind of gone into the stadium area. And it's a great tune
But people like it because of that. They have that association, so they still enjoy it here.
Exactly. It's still a great tune, and a radio station doesn't do it anymore, so it works there. So then we transitioned, and John Parr's Naughty Naughty was the next song that became that signature song that when I was playing in the bars and people would hear that beginning guitar riff, they'd be like, oh, John's playing.
Did you see my post this week about that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome that you mentioned John Parr's Naughty Naughty.
Yeah, that was the next one, and it was...
Song's been in my head for like 3 days, by the way.
Oh, no, I just put it
back.
I just I brought the...
No, it's okay, I like the song.
Yeah, it's a great tune, but the early version we could only get it off the radio. We recorded it. It was one of the few songs we recorded off radio, and we played at a show. And we recorded it one weekend, and we had it just about to the very end, but then it was the 104.7 KC. So we get it to there, and we knew if we faded out in time, we would be fine. You just kind of faded one on, bring the next one, we're good to go. Well, the problem is that, after doing it a couple of times, then people would be coming up as you're playing the song, and they're like, yeah, it's a great song. I love the song. Oh, by the way, do you have a list? And they're starting to talk to you.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're not paying attention close enough. And all of a sudden,
103.7 Kiss FM. Yeah, it's like, whoa.
It's like, so then we found the song on CD, and we went on from there. But that was probably... That one took me, that one went probably until, I want to say, probably the early to mid 90s, probably 92, 93, somewhere in that ballpark. During that same time, another throwback that we play that quite a bit was Slade's Run, Run Away. Granted, I couldn't play that everywhere, but in the bar, that was... the Slade people would come up because they knew we were the only one who had the CD. Again, when music was tough to get. And
Brian K is in the room right now, and that is, I know, his favorite song.
Run, Run Away?
Yes,
excellent.
That is his favorite track.
Excellent. By the way, Brian was DJing.
Yeah, he did a hell of a job.
He was DJing
at Sam Adams Pub.
Yep, he was mixing it up, and not that it was on the wiki scratch type mixing. It was
just a good mix of songs.
A good mix of songs, and moving from song to song and doing a really nice job with that and keeping the flow going for the conversation.
Yeah. The volume was good.
Yeah.
The groove was good. And I wasn't even really paying attention to who was DJing. I was having a conversation with some folks, and songs kept coming like hit after hit after hit. I'm like, hey, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
and I looked up and Brian was spinning them.
Yeah, so kudos to Brian. He did a great job there. Okay, continuing on. Really, it's probably the latter 90s. I wouldn't have had anything I considered a kind of a signature song in some ways. Probably the closest thing would have been, I really played a lot of The Way You Look Tonight from Frank Sinatra. That came on as kind of my slow song, and it's interesting how we evolved. I involved in the last few more signature songs for slow songs. For some reason, people weren't playing that type of music at that time, probably about 95 through that early 2000s. So it became kind of a song. The last couple of years, so it would have been 99, 2000, 2001. Those were the last 3 years I was in the bar. And what became my signature song at that point in time was Got Your Money from Old Dirty Bastard.
Oh, that's a great song.
It had that beginning and the bass line as it kicks in, and we had that huge sound system up in the bar, and people would come in there, and our regulars, when they knew that when the dance floor got going and it was later in the night, it was getting to be that 12:15 time frame, and we were getting ready to set up that set that went past 12:30, and all of a sudden that bass would kick in and they would just scream. It was the greatest moment, and it would happen week after week of doing that, because they knew what was coming. They knew how it was. The song setting it up would be different, but they knew that once we got it at that time, at that situation, it came out, and that was really the Got Your Money was and that one that took me through that 2000, 2001, and through 2002 as truly of all was certainly the signature song in there, because like nobody else in town was playing it at the other bars, the other DJs, and I don't know if it's because they left it alone because I was doing it, or if they didn't care. I don't know, but we got a lot of miles off that. So then I went back to pretty much the mobile after that with the wedding DJ. And my next one would have been Chicago with Color My World as a slow song.
Ooh, nice.
And this is one of those where it would be dropped in at the wedding, and it was never requested, but it's one of those slow songs that people would just at that time the people in their 50s and 60s would be like, they'd be like, this is a great song, and they would be, come on out and dance. This is a great song. You really like the song, and it became this kind of underground way of appealing to that crowd, and then people would come up afterwards and say, you're a really good DJ. Can I get a card? It was that type of a situation with that, and that ran its course until it got to the point, kind of like we've talked about on other shows, where the people who appreciated that type of song started not coming to our dance floor because they couldn't dance like they used to dance.
Right.
We've aged out. So
it's just strange to have all this music for a crowd that you just don't see anymore.
I know, it's really sad. I've got some great playlist folders that are like, 20 years ago, this folder would have been your show. The joint. Yeah, it would have gone, but not anymore. And the last one, probably in the last 5 years, it is a little bit older song. It's Amazed by You, but it's Jem's version, which came off from a movie. I don't remember which movie it was, but it's one that I play at pretty much every wedding I do, and it's Paul McCartney's Amazed by You. Maybe I'm Amazed. Or Maybe I'm Amazed. Excuse me. Thank you. Getting too many things. Maybe I'm Amazed. They did a version of it, and it's more of a candlelight feel to it. It's a beautiful song. I wish there was a video to it for when I do video shows, but it's become that song that people are like, oh yeah, John's the one who plays that song. I think Runt did that too. That was I think Runt, wasn't that Rod Stewart was in that band? They did a version of that too. They may have done it first. Oh yes. Now, yep, and. You know what I'm talking about? I do actually. I've heard that. I've heard a Rod Stewart version of it, and that would be that. But he wasn't Rod Stewart. He was with the band. I think the band was. I get confused. Is Runt what Todd Rundgren was in, or is Runt what Rod Stewart was in? But Rod Stewart did. He did it as a cover. But he did it in the band he was in before he was Rod Stewart. It was, you know what I mean? He was in a band before he was Rod Stewart. Let's see. He was a part of a band, like Paul McCartney and the Beatles. Faces was the band. Faces. There you go. Faces did it. And I don't know if they did it first or Paul McCartney did it first. I don't know whose song it was. McCartney, 1970. Faces, 1971. Okay, that makes sense. So, and let's see. Then McCartney did it again. Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
McCartney did it again in 70. Let's see. Oh, goodness, there's a lot of different versions up here.
Sure.
The one that I'm using is Gem in 2004, is when they came out with
The Small Faces. Yeah, Dave Clevenger is right. The band was called The Small Faces.
Excellent.
And sometimes they just call them Faces or The Faces, but it was actually The Small Faces. But yeah, they have a version of that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it was, when you were talking about that, it's like, yeah, there have been, and over the years, it's evolved. It's been one of those things that hasn't been a one song forever type of thing for me. So I just found it kind of interesting, and it was
So let me go back, since I've already commented on maybe MMAs, and react to some of your songs that you were talking about, because I've got some input here. Color My World, Chicago, great song. I used to play it a lot too, and I should start playing it again, because that really should be a song for some of the older boomers.
Very much so.
I think that they would enjoy it, and even older than that. And I say older than that because I made kind of a big deal about it just because I wanted to talk about stuff in video. I didn't mean to make a big deal about it, but the one song I've talked about before that works really well for like seniors is Engelbert Humperdinck's After the Lovin'.
Yes, yeah, you've talked about it.
I played it this weekend. It was a smash. I got video of it. I talked about it in my last video. It was featured in my video before that one, even when I did the gig log. So I would think that Color My World would be more hip and contemporary than After the Lovin'. But I think the same crowd would dig it.
I think so. I think
even a younger crowd would dig it, because that was on the Transit Authority album.
I was going to say that, yeah, but I think that the songs have been utilized in enough places over the years. That they haven't. Maybe the Color My World might be a little bit more off the radar for younger people, but After the Love, and there's been that beginning opening of the song has been utilized in places. Yeah,
that's a great tune though, and I think because you mentioned it, I think I'm going to try to squeeze that back in the next opportunity I get. I'm going to make sure that I put that on my list of things to play, because that's a good one that I kind of forgot about. The other one I wanted to talk about, I want to talk about a couple of them, and I can't keep track of all you talked about in my head, but you mentioned John Parr's Naughty Naughty.
Yes.
And I got really excited because I don't remember what day it was, but a few days ago, I made a post. I had it going through my head for some reason. And I think I said, hey, post a song that's going, post a cool song.
Yeah, a cool
song
song
people may not have heard.
Yep.
Yeah. I post one of those. I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
There was this one guy that posted a song in there that was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, by Huey Lewis, perchance?
It could have been.
It could have been. But anyway, I posted John Parr's Naughty Naughty, and I just thought of the song. It's kind of cool. A lot of people may not know it, but I watched the video, and because I watched the video, the damn thing got stuck in my head. The video is funny. Watch it, please.
Oh yeah.
Look, and you'll know why it's stuck in my head. He's like working on this like 80s Rolls Royce convertible, and the boss yells at him, "I didn't pay to fondle it, I paid you to work on it." And John Parr gets mad and throws stuff at the boss and walks away. And the next scene you see, John Parr is going sideways in a turn in a 66 Mustang ragtop, Wimbledon white, and a hubcap goes flying off of it. So that's Mustang. That's first gen Mustang stuff. So there I'm like, there's a Mustang in this video. So I'm sharing it in Mustang groups and things. Hey, have you guys seen this? And then he picks up this girl. I'm like, well, she's kind of pretty. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I've ever seen her before. And I look in the comments section, and I don't know if I got her name right, but it's Lisa. Is it Rena? Lisa Rena?
I'm not sure.
If you saw her picture, she was just adorable in this video.
Yeah.
And today, she's in shows. She's someone you've seen, but she's scary looking because of all the plastic surgery she's had. But I had no idea it was her. She was just adorable back in 1984 or whenever that video was done. And then I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, well, he was an older guy. you know, but he was rocking it. And it was kind of cool. You know, you could see the lines in his face and the gray in his hair or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out the guy was only 31 years old.
That's what I was just looking at, because I was thinking, you know,
Yeah.
I was always,
to me, the guy looked 100.
yeah,
you know?
you know, I always felt it was kind of creepy. It's like somebody's grandpa there trying to put his hand up on
Put
his
my
stocking.
hand on your stocking. Like, ugh.
I was
Dad, don't touch.
31, and it's like he was that, yeah, because he looks at.
He looked old.
I would have guessed 50 is what I would have guessed in that video.
Yeah. I'm thinking this guy was in some 60s band as a guitar player. I don't know what it was, so I'm going to look him up. And somehow he, you know, no, he was 31.
Yeah.
But he looked old. To me, he's British. I didn't know that. So that I felt was interesting as well. He was with bands and things and played with people. But no, so that song was just in my head. Anyway, those are the songs that I wanted to talk about that you mentioned.
That's funny.
So I can tell you about my signature tracks.
Yes, let's get into it. Let's go.
Engelbert Humperdinck After Lovin' for the seniors. We talked about that.
Yep.
It's a good one.
Good too.
Do it. And it really just kind of depends on the crowd that's in front of me. And sometimes with these signature tracks, what I like to do is just do a 180 in whatever set I'm in, and not even try to blend it, not even try to make it, you know, slowly, gradually progress into this other thing. I just like to slam on the brakes, spin around, and go the other direction. And I feel like that really wakes people up and like, wow, what's going on? This is different.
Mm-hmm.
There are songs I like to do. And one of the more recent ones, I haven't done it in a minute, but I love doing it, is Wake Me Up Before You Go by Wham.
Nice.
Nobody sees it coming.
No.
You just do it. That's a fun one to do. When I'm doing like background, I talked about doing what I call like the L or the K tracks or whatever. It's not the A tracks or the B tracks or the C tracks. It's way back. And I'm trying to find that song from the popular artist that you haven't really heard since it was out. You know? So, okay. So if I say Culture Club, what pops in your head?
I'll tumble for you.
You're different because most people will say Karma Chameleon.
Ah.
That's just the song that they, you know.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even their best song. You know, when was the last time you heard Church of the Poison Mind?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's an amazing song.
Yep.
It's kind of a Motown soul song. White Boy was amazing. That whole first album was just astonishing. It was so good. Kissing to Be Clever is one of the best albums of all time.
Yeah, it was.
I really believe that. Anyway, I like to do those kind of tracks. Sometimes not just for dancing, but, you know, for like dinner time or whatever. I'll do those. So, you know, I'll go back like the Men at Work when I've talked about. I don't do Down Under. I don't do Overkill. I do like It's a Mistake because no one's heard it since it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one I like to do a lot, especially, and I do it all the time, especially if they want like what I call pop standard stuff, like Frank Sinatra, Michael Bublé, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I got Jay Brennan. This is totally his fault. I slip in Richard Cheese's Baby Got Back. And I mean, if you don't know Richard Cheese's version of Baby Got Back, it's quite beautiful.
It's quite beautiful.
And I always do the same thing. I'll put it on in the middle of like a Frank and Michael Bublé and you know, Tony Bennett set. I'll just throw it in there. And like one person, I'll watch, I'll pay attention. One person will go, because they hear it. And they'll start laughing and they'll talk to somebody else to listen. And then I'll get on the microphone and I'll say, I was just seeing if anybody was paying attention. And they laugh their heads off, but nobody else gets it because it's all just noise to them.
You're right.
You know, because it's just background. They're not really paying attention. So that one's super fun to do too.
Nice.
I don't know. I have a lot of them that I like to do that a lot of people don't do. But those are just some that just pop out in my head that are fun. It's fun to look and see what the room's doing. Jay's talking about What I Like About You Romantics. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
I used to play that a lot, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That and Katrina and the Waves with Walking on Sunshine. They were kind of like a back and front type of a thing with those two.
DJ Storm is mentioning Fascination or Don't You Owe Me. Something about Keep Feeling Fascination by the Human League. That was a signature song that I used to play at a club back in the, I guess, early 90s that I was working downtown. I had the 12-inch. And it wasn't a song that you heard all the time. because then, I mean, it was about CNC Music Factory and Technotronic and Salt and Pepper and those kind of things.
Right.
So to throw on, like a 10-year-old song or whatever it was like, wow, that's an old song. I haven't heard that in a long time. When, I mean, in the old days, I think about this when somebody made a post today on social media where they said, hey, if you were going to do an 80s party, what would be like the first track you'd play? And I'm like, oh my God, what kind of party are we talking about here? It could be anything. I'm like, just a general 80s party. I'm like, there's no such thing as a general 80s party. The 80s were so good that we didn't play old music at those parties. We didn't have to. We didn't have to go back 2 years if we didn't want to. We could just play current stuff, and it was solid and good, and it was fun. Today, we're all over the place. We're going back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. You almost have to for a general audience, but you didn't used to have to because it was all so good.
So we're doing an 80s party, and we're doing an 80s fundraiser party for the local chamber of commerce type of thing. So we're talking about people that, maybe some business people, but basically we're talking about adults probably from 25 to 55.
Okay.
That's our situation. And those of you in the chat room that you're playing along.
Okay.
80s party.
Yeah.
We're the entertainment for the Chamber of Commerce is having a fundraising event. It's
25 to 55.
25 to 55 age
so
range.
We're talking about millennials and boomers. Or millennials and Gen X.
Gen X, yes. We're not two boomers anymore.
No boomers.
So what would be your 80s song to start with? And I want you to put start and then the song, so that way we know that you're doing a song for that compared to just throwing songs out. So
right. I think start for that, for a general audience like that, especially with millennials, it would be Way on Waking Up Before You Go. It just sets the mood. Hey, this is who we are. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. No one's going to misunderstand it when you play that song. It's rather iconic, and I think that millennials know it. They don't know it as well as Toto's Africa, but they know it. So that's what I would start with. That would just be me.
See, I was kind of thinking something from the Hall & Oates, the Hall & Oates library.
Well,
and there could be
You Make My Dreams Come True is really hot with the millennials right now because I don't know why. It was in a movie or something. Mm-hmm. But it's never been a great dance song.
Exactly. And that first position song, I want high recognition. I want fun, upbeat, kind of campy, setting the tone for the 80s. I mean, if I could play one of those like Pretty in Pink type movies or Breakfast Club type movie thing, this is the spot to do that because people aren't going to be like really there, but you want that campiness of the 80s.
Right.
And I think that it was that, or truthfully, I'm looking at either Madonna with a Like a Virgin, but could be offensive to some people, maybe, whatever.
No.
But something to that effect that just is so 80s. Because even some of this stuff with getting into some of the more dancey stuff can almost fit into other eras. Yes, it came from the 80s, but it doesn't have that quite campy enough feel of the 80s. So,
well, yeah, perhaps. But the only problem with that the only problem I see is that my generation, as far as our generation, as far as I'm concerned, will not see the Hall & Oates track as a powerful song.
True.
We'll know it, but to us, it's not a heavy hitter. And I can argue the same thing with Toto's Africa. To us, that's a down-tempo track that we never danced to. But to the millennials, it's a hot audience participation track. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it certainly does. Certainly does. We got a lot of songs coming in here. Safety Dance, of course, that I don't know why that is still so popular. And younger
it's
people.
Just one of the best songs ever. That's why. and going back, and we can go back to this. I want to, but I wasn't quite done with my signature track.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I interrupt you all the time. You get a chance to interrupt me once in a while. Speaking of the Safety Dance, there was a time when that was one of my signature tracks when I was doing clubs. And this was, I got to put this in perspective though, because you guys are going to look at me and say, but everybody plays Safety Dance. How can that possibly be a signature track?
Nope. No, it wasn't. We didn't do it. It hit later way more than it did.
Yeah. So what happened was, just again, to put this in perspective, if you weren't around in the 80s, or if you were like Jay and you were just listening to hair bands throughout the 80s, like we weren't really too concerned about what happened last year because what was happening every year in progression just got better and better and better. As far as I was concerned, every year was better. And it was that way until Nirvana dropped Nevermind. When Nirvana dropped Nevermind, all bets were off. It was like, oh crap, where did our music go? And then top 40 and R&B, well, R&B went deep. There was no more mainstream R&B. There was a backlash on MC Hammer. There was a backlash on Vanilla Ice. There was a backlash on New Jack, which was kind of, mainstream R&B stuff. There was no such thing as mainstream R&B. It went deep, and then it was rock, and the rap got ugly, and it just got weird. So we had to find these tracks to entertain people. And the thing with Safety Dance is you could buy the album. I believe it was called Rhythm of Youth, and it had kind of a different version of Safety Dance on it. And you could buy the 12-inch, but it was a different version. The version that people knew was the version they'd heard on the radio, which was the single, and it was only available on 45. And the song wasn't a hit for that long, John. I mean, like a couple of weeks in the summer of '83 or something, and then it went away.
Yeah, exactly. It was a blip on the radar. It really didn't do much. That's why we didn't.
Very much.
It didn't really come into the play until the 90s.
No, I'm talking about the Rhythm of Youth album. I'm talking about the 12-inch version of this song. But you got to remember, none of this stuff was in print anymore. This had happened. It was over. It was gone. And I went to Camelot Music. Rick Jules, who is in here sometimes, he was my guy at Camelot. And I found this double CD compilation from England called Pop and Wave, or maybe it was Germany, Pop and Wave Volume 3. And it had a lot of tracks on it. Some I already had, some I didn't have. It had a really interesting version of You Spin Me Around by Dead or Alive. But the track that I had to have was it said Safety Dance. Now, I couldn't preview it. I couldn't open it or anything else. And the CD was like $70. And I was like, wow, it's a lot of money. But if I want to have the Safety Dance, I'm going to pay $70. I'm going to get it, and nobody else in town has it. Not the single, and not digital. So I bought it, and that became the track that I would play, and people would lose it when I would play Safety Dance because they didn't hear it anywhere else. Nobody had it. Nobody even knew where to get it.
That particular release date of that album was 1993. To give you guys an idea, that Safety Dance came out initially 83, I think, somewhere.
Well, 83, dude.
Yeah, that came out in 83. But the Pop and Wave was a
Volume 3.
Yep, Volume 3 was 1993, and it was how many disc set was this?
2.
Yeah, 2 disc set. That's right. So not only did you have Safety Dance, but you had Madness's Our House, and you had Thompson Twins' Doctor.
Now, Madness Our House was another one that people didn't have yet.
Yeah, no, that was one. You had Karma Chameleon, Love Shack was on this. This was actually a really good disc.
It was a really solid disc to have back then.
Go West.
Yeah. I mean, it was expensive, but it was worth every penny as far as I was concerned. I still have it. But yeah, that was this, and I think there was a Rhythmix. I don't know if it was Sweet Dreams or I don't know, Love Is a Stranger or something. A Rhythmix was on there.
Sweet Dreams, yeah, that's on there. You Spin Me.
You Spin Me. There's the reason I like that version of You Spin Me so well is because it's got the little sample from Rip It Up at the beginning where it goes rockets, and then it kicks in. And I always thought that was fun,
Oh, this is all on Amazon to stream now. That's interesting.
You should enjoy it because there's some fun stuff on there. But that was like $69.95, I think it was, and I couldn't believe I was paying $70 for a double CD, but it was worth every penny. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, that was, and it allowed me to. Was Keep Feeling Fascination on there? By Human League?
Don't think so.
Don't You Want Me? Something was on there, Human League.
I don't think there's a Human League.
Or Love Action.
No.
I thought there was something Human League on there. Anyway, it was an interesting disc, but I usually hung on disc 2. Disc 2 seemed to have more tracks on it than disc 1. Disc 1 didn't get a lot of use.
Fun.
But yeah, so I just went on this rant about Safety Dance for a while. But yeah, for a minute it was a signature track. And yeah, 83, that was when, or 93 is when that came out, and that was when we were just up to our eyeballs in grunge, and no one could dance to it.
So the 80s stuff came back, and yeah.
Right. I started doing it first just because I was bored, and I found the CD. And then some of the other guys in town started doing 80s nights too. So I was kind of the pioneer of that here in town, and it was fun. because there was nowhere else to go unless you went deep house. And we just weren't ready for that. We just wanted to have fun and play recognizable, enjoyable songs everybody knew. And we'd throw in things. Yeah, of course you'd throw in the newest deep track, the Plastic Dreams or whatever. You'd throw that into the mix, but you had to have that other stuff too. There was always a Prince CD or a Prince album that was out that was very helpful. I mean, Prince got us through some hard times, and that stuff when it came out had staying power for a couple of years, and the same with Michael Jackson. I mean, the Dangerous album had come out, I think, in, I don't know what year that was, 91 or 92, and there were still hits coming from that. So, and then Madonna, she had done, was it Erotica?
Yeah, that would have been starting to.
It was Deeper and Deeper.
The coffee table book came out around that time too.
Which one?
Her coffee table book.
Oh, the sex book. No, that was a couple years before that. That was when she did Immaculate Collection.
Ah, that was the earlier one. I guess I've got my timing off.
By the way, that was taken at a place that used to be called the Warhol Factory in New York. It's now called Hotel 17, and you can totally just go stay there. I stay there all the time when I'm in Manhattan. It's a great place. Every room's decorated a little different, but yeah, that other photography was done at Hotel 17, Warhol Factory, formerly known as the Warhol Factory, or alternately known as the Warhol Factory. So it's like in Union Square, roughly. So, useless information for you. Now let's go back to what you were talking about before. Do you remember?
About the 80s, kicking off our 80s party?
Yeah.
So we've got some really great options here that speak to that. The Dead or Alive, of course, got through out there. Aha, Take On Me, definitely an 80s tune, which now has got that.
I never had good luck with that one.
I've not either, but it definitely speaks to that. And it's a popular tune for some reason. I've never been a big favorite. It's never been a favorite of mine. But, my kids knew that song. And start with 69 Boys.
That was 90s.
It was a little later than that. Yeah, I think I was going to have been getting into that.
Yeah, that was like mid 90s. We're talking about 80s stuff.
Information Society would definitely.
What's on your mind?
Yeah.
Yeah, is what Jay's trying to say. He's saying Pure Energy.
Yeah.
That's. I think they're from Minneapolis, aren't they? Information Society.
I think they were. If they weren't originally from, they came through and they brought up that Terry Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. There we go.
Oddly enough, and this just blows my mind, they consider that freestyle. I kind of, I guess, but yeah, I mean, when I look at people's freestyle crates, Information Society is always in it. And it always kind of blew my mind but I guess if you listen to the tempo of the song, it makes sense. It kind of is. It's got that vibe to it, kind of like Taylor Dane back then with Tell It to My Heart and Prove Your Love. It's got that vibe. Now, what I thought was interesting when I saw that post about 80s Party Your First Track, my first question is, who am I playing to? If I'm playing to millennials, I got to keep it familiar. I got to play something that, they know and they relate to as 80s. But if I'm playing to Gen X, then what I feel like I'd like to do is surprise them and play them something they haven't heard in a really long time.
Like Timex Social Club.
Is Marcus in here?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you know who Marcus is? Marcus Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, you don't hear rumors. There's a lot of things you don't hear a lot or hardly at all. And the one I was thinking about that is really good and it's got a great beat, and if you're from the 80s or were present in the 80s, you know it, is the Go-Go's Head Over Heels. I always thought that was a fantastic song with great energy, and people know it. That would be a fun one to play.
To a point, almost any of the hits that the Go-Go's had were that way.
Yeah, well, a lot of them were. I mean, Vacation, you kind of hear it once in a while, Our Lips Are So. We Got the Beat is very played out as far as I'm concerned. But Head Over Heels is one of those tracks that it's so good, but it didn't stick around forever and ever. I like that one. The one that was like a blip on the radar, but it's fantastic, is Oxo's Whirly Girl. That is a fantastic track. And that's the kind of stuff that you can play where people are like, oh my God, what even is this song? I remember it, but what is it? It's so good. And you compare any of those kind of like throwaway tracks from back then to anything that's out now, and it's better. Songs that they completely dismissed back when we were, getting them new would be amazing if they came out today. So, I mean, Matthew Wilder's Break My Stride. I mean, it's dumb stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Just and it's like, what a great tune. And then people from that era would be like, God, I haven't heard that forever.
Right.
And then they would be.
But again, if it hit today, like, oh my God, best song ever.
Yeah,
it would be the song of the year.
And then you have those people, they're all going to sing the hook of the song because they remember that very well.
Right. And it's got a real distinctive intro to it. One thing that I mentioned in the mobile DJ meetup was the whole Motown phenomenon where they were picking the tracks. And the rule they had was the song had to grab you within the first 10 seconds or they didn't want to release it as a single. And if you think about the Motown singles, think about Can't Help Myself by the Four Tops. Dun, 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 dun. You never hear that really in the song again like that. Or Heard It Through the Grapevine, or, so many of those songs. They just have these real distinct, intros. And you may not ever hear that again in the rest of the song, but it's just this hook that grabs you. Those are the kind of songs that I like to play at these events too, because people remember those.
Oh, yeah.
And if they don't, then there's still a nice hook that they can latch onto. That, ooh, what is this? So, I don't know. Just thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even know if they're good thoughts, but they're thoughts.
Yeah. Well, we're just sharing, bouncing around, sharing some ideas, sharing some music things.
Jay mentions expose. Yeah, I was thinking that too. I think I've mentioned this before, but at Stevie's wedding, had Wavy Davy doing it, and he was doing a really good job, but he was playing the usual suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he was trying to play to my mom, he was playing, 60s music or whatever, and my mom could give a shit. I mean, she's not going to say that, but she don't care. There's nobody there who wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear Build Me a Buttercup there. There's not even, or Sweet Caroline. Nobody wants to hear that. So I went up to Dave and I said, look, I know this might sound weird, but just play what you like. I think they'll dig it. Because he's very much an 80s, 90s dance music guy.
Sure.
So he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, no, really do it. What you like, they'll love. Play your fantasy set right now, and they will totally dig it. So he throws on, like, Here Comes the Hot Stepper and Informer, and they lose their minds. They're like, yeah, my mom's out there dancing. And,
Nice.
That's who they are.
Yep.
So, I think about that, like Jay had mentioned, expose. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that would be really fun to play for people our age. Throw out, like, Come Go With Me or something. They'd be like, holy crap, I haven't heard this song since the 80s. And it's really good, and we used to dance through the club all the time. Even Jungle Love, by the time, I haven't spun that for so long.
Yeah.
At a gig, and that used to kill, dude. The Bird used to kill. I haven't played Erotic City in years. There's all kinds of fun songs you can throw on that are good.
So much.
And one of my favorites is Sheila E.'s Glamorous Life. I love that track. Haven't played it in years. Not as a dance song. Mm-hmm. I might have snuck it in when I was bored and nobody was paying attention somewhere. But I never played it as a dance track.
Yeah, I think I've done that a time or two.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's an evening with Huey Lewis when no one's paying attention at your events.
What? That would happen?
Walking through, it's like, I'm so happy to be stuck with you. It's like, oh, John Young's the DJ.
It's going to become not only a signature song, it's a signature artist. Every time people are going to hear Huey, they're like, is John around?
Here somewhere.
Yeah, he's got to be somewhere.
Yeah. Lizette Melendez. Yeah, there's all kinds of great stuff you could play. Mary Jane Girls. There's another one. And Mary Jane Girls goes really well with all that that Minneapolis stuff, as does some other Motown, like Ready for the World's Oh Sheila. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are fun ones that you could do that maybe people wouldn't expect to hear at an 80s party. They're going to expect to hear Rick Astley and maybe even Another One Bites the Dust or something, or, Love Shack. I mean, we could go on and on with the songs that they're going to expect to hear. Toto's Africa, but they may not expect In My House by Mary Jane Girls or Lisette Menendez or any of that stuff. They're going to expect to hear Lionel Richie's all night long. They're okay. It's 80s. They're going to play it. I don't know. There are some songs that are just they're so good. There's so many songs to choose from. If you know your music and you remember your music,
Yep.
you could just go totally nuts. If the crowd's from the 80s, you can have fun with them. Or you can go the alternative route. You can do things like Ministry and Depeche Mode and New Order, and The Cure and Susie and the Banshees. You could even go industrial with like Front 242 or Meat Beat Manifesto or My Life with a Thrill Kill Calls or Frontline Assembly or Nitzureb or all kinds of things like that. And John's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Some of those I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sorry, no, they were jams. they were jams back then, and people would know them. But yeah, there's all kinds of different directions you could go with the right audience. But if it's general audience, Wake Me Before You Go Go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Samantha Fox, yeah. You don't hear Samantha Fox anymore, do you?
Oh, heavens no, not unless you're throwing something in where Naughty Girls Need Love Too.
Well, that was the one that used to get the best response was I Want to Have Some Fun.
Yeah, the other one.
And if you were in the club, and Love House was good. Love House was really good. That was a really weird one, and kind of a little dark almost, but it worked really well in the club, like during alternative nights and things. But then Naughty Girls Need Love Too and I Want to Have Some Fun worked well on freestyle nights. So a lot of these artists back then, it was so much fun because they could genre hop.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't pigeonholed into hip hop or rock or whatever. You could do a lot of different things with them. It's like Janet Jackson's Black Cat. You could play in a rock set, And the same thing with Eurythmics. When I Lied to You worked in a rock set, But their other songs would work, during very, very different, theme nights or in different sets when it came to genres. And you could go to the club, and I've said this before, I've said it 100 times, back, when I was young, you go to the club and you would hear lots of different kinds of music on any given night. It wasn't just like one thing. Oh yeah, it's alternative night, but you're still going to hear Madonna, and you're still going to hear Prince, and it's like mainstream club night. Yeah, you're going to hear Stevie B and Noel and all that crap, but you're going to hear Madonna, and you're going to hear Prince, and you're going to hear New Order and Depeche Mode, and things that maybe would be considered a different genre, but it's going to work within what's going on here tonight for you as well. So a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a lot of fun. Adamant was another one. Even like Strip, that was really big on alternative club night.
I don't know that one.
You don't know Strip by Adamant?
I don't think so.
That was hot.
Yeah, Adamant basically, after his one hit, that's really what made our radar, and after that was pretty much.
Well, Goody Two Shoes is a great song, and that works during a rock set, by the way, but it also works like on alternative dance nights. But yeah, check out Strip when we're done with the broadcast. That you might remember it because it was pretty big, and it got really good results on the dance floor for a while. Con-Can, yeah, I beg your pardon, was the Con-Can song we got here in the States. And a lot of people still think that's a New Order song. They don't know the difference. They think it's something off of Substance, 87. They have no idea that it's this Canadian band that just sounds a lot like New Order. But that's a fantastic song. The problem I have with Con-Cans, I beg your pardon, is it doesn't matter where I am in the world. If I see that 12-inch, I buy it, and I've got like 8 of them back there. From like all over the place. It's like, do I really need another copy of Con-Cans? Beg your pardon. Or do you need I need one of those I need to hold in the head, but I got a bunch of German ones, Italian ones, Canadian ones, American ones.
Nice. Well, gang, we're going to wrap things up here. We are at about an hour here, and we need to go.
Had fun.
Yeah, it was good show tonight. Thank you guys for being with us tonight, and thanks for sharing so many great song suggestions in the chat. And
absolutely.
For those of you who don't know, YouTube did change it now that these song suggestions or the chat does stay available as you're watching the video. You can actually have the chat will go and propagate as it did while you're watching.
I think that's a great feature.
So that's kind of a cool thing, so that we can see you know, when we're reacting to comments and such, then the person who's watching is going to be able to see that. And then if they comment, it just messes it all up. That's okay.
So I don't mean to hustle this, but we've got 15 viewers currently watching. We only have 8 likes on the YouTube. Can you please help us out with that? Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys show a little love with the like button, that is awesome.
That'd be cool.
And yeah, we'll be back again next week. We're getting, let's see, we've got probably our regular shows next week, and then after that we'll be at the end of the month again almost, or it's getting close. I don't know. We'll be in touch. So have yourself a great week and a great night. We thank you once again for being with us, and we'll catch you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.